Mental Health Monday. Today we're going to go over retraining your brain. This has to do a little bit with habit forming. It has to do with negative thoughts, impulsive thoughts, things like that come into your brain that kind of like get it all out of whack. So there's a couple of different things that you can do. There's actually a lot of different things that you can do, but here's just a few. So one of them is you want to start stopping. So throughout the day, use cues in your environment, like a stoplight, a line at the grocery store, waiting in an elevator, something that's going to trigger you to show up in a mindful way. So you can use the acronym STOP. So when you're physically stopped, try to also mentally stop, which is your S. T is take a breath, focus on the sensory experience of breathing and becoming aware of your own breath. O is observing. You're going to notice what's happening both within you and around you. And then P, proceed and move on with your life. So it's something that's going to happen in a few seconds, 30 seconds or a minute, as long as potential stoplights are, the line at the grocery store, all of that. It's just kind of recognizing where you are and kind of taking that experience in, which we don't tend to do a lot. We're very fast-paced people and we do need to stop and slow down. Monotasking. We are multitaskers. We do multitasking as this American society. We need to stop that. We do task switching. Again, that's going to be multitasking, where we put our attention on something and then we're having to disengage and move it to put it on something else and then return back to it over and over again. And it is extremely exhausting. And we want to protect our attention. So we want to try and do just one thing at a time. Mono means one, so one task at a time, complete it, move on to the next task. That way you're not overwhelming your brain and your attention. Remembering that thoughts are not facts. Remembering this principle can cut through the spirals of rumination and kind of catastrophizing. Remind yourself that it's just a thought that your mind generated and it may or may not be tied to reality. So that's where your intrusiveness comes in, all of those kind of random thoughts throughout the day of like, what if? Just remembering and like putting back into perspective what's going on. You would also want to gather. So you have to gather your awareness, make sure that you're aware. Again, something that we talked about with the stop. This is another different kind of like 5-step way to do things. Instead of just using that STOP acronym. So you're gathering awareness, then you're going to reflect. So you want to deliberately ask yourself why questions, and gather and reflect can take a very long time. Going into like that inner depth and inner brain can be very, very exhausting as a task to do. And it's not something that you can get done really, really quickly. And it can take a while of asking yourself why, because you may deflect that answer and just kind of push everything down, which we don't want to do. Once you feel confident in your gather and your reflect, you would move on to step number 3, which is write. When you write down your thoughts, you're able to achieve cognitive fluency and quite literally get your thoughts out of your head and onto a paper. You don't want to type this. You do want to physically write. That's really important, especially for managing your anxiety. It kind of takes the feeling out that you're in. Like if you ever feel like you're very in your head, write everything down. It takes the feeling out of it, reread it, and then you can kind of go back through it. That's where step 4 comes into reconceptualizing. You look at what you've written and then you see how you can reframe your thoughts into a possibilities mindset. So like, what could I do from here? And then we have step 5, which is active. So whatever works for you, you want to choose a task that's easy to keep up with during the day. It's literally taking action to what those possibilities mindsets could be. Like, I'm going to take 10 minutes every day and meditate. That is your action. But you want to do something that's easy for you. And remember, an important note, this process is not meant to be completed in a single day. Brain building takes work and it does require long-term commitment. It's got setbacks and rebounds and all of those things. And it takes so much time, which we don't like to hear, but that is the truth. But it is what it is. And those are kind of a few ways to help to retrain your brain over a long period of time, because we have had those habits forming for a long period of time. It's going to take a long period of time to switch them into better habits, retraining your brain, and all of that good stuff that we want to set forth into the world for the rest of our lives and grow as humans.